WWE has changed a lot of its champions lately, from CM Punk winning the World Heavyweight Championship to Ilya Dragunov grabbing the US title. But I'm always curious about what's next. Who's next? Who's next in line? So today, we're gonna have some fun and look at all of the current main roster champions and discuss who we think is going to be next. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Assemble. My name is Matt. Good to have you. Now, before we get into all of this, I would love it if I could just ask for your support. If you do end up enjoying these videos we do here almost every single day, I would love it if you guys hit the subscribe button and the like button on this video on the channel. It helps us grow. We're trying to hit 50,000 subs by like Christmas. So I would love it if you guys end up enjoying these videos, and thank you so much for your support. So let's kick it off with a bang though. Let's talk about Cody effing Rhodes. Cody feels like he's in a forever feud for me with Drew McIntyre, and I just do not see Drew picking up that Undisputed title. It felt like for a bit they were working towards Jacob Fatu getting into the main event scene. Jacob had to go off, I believe, getting his teeth done, and now we're waiting for him to come back. We also don't have Randy Orton out there. So Smackdown on the very tippy top feels thin. Like, it's Drew and Cody, that's it. And I know that Cody's in War Games, but once that's over, what are you gonna do with Cody? You're gonna get into Royal Rumble WrestleMania season. And I don't, at this point in the year, and the opportunities Drew has had, I don't see anybody taking the belt off Cody until Mania. I have two names though. I'd like to see Jacob Fatu do it, but I don't think the time is yet. The time is not now, as they say. I think the next big story for Cody is either Randy Orton, and they do Randy turns heel. He does a dastardly thing in my head where he goes and he RKO's Brandy, and he yells at Pharaoh a lot, and then that's it, and that sets off their whole feud. I would love the Randy Orton story. I think that they could do something compelling that could last to Mania, even through WrestleMania. Sometimes I like it when they do a story that almost starts at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like the first match is at Mania and then they keep it going. Randy with that Undisputed title too would look cool. And then you have Cody Chase, which I also like Cody when he's chasing for a title. But if it's not Randy, the other name is somebody who's currently in this whole John Cena last time is now tournament, Gunther. I do think that Gunther's going to win this whole tournament and face John Cena and either loses or wins that final match with Cena. But what do you do with Gunther next? I don't want Gunther to win, by the way. I wish they would do somebody younger, fresher, newer talent. Gunther is very established. I don't think he needs it. But if the idea is to make Gunther big baddie of WWE, the like new ultimate heel, sure, you want to give him more boost momentum going into Rumble. I think he beats Cena and then he wins the Rumble and he goes over to face Cody on Smackdown. Gunther, in my eyes, has done everything for Raw and the world title scene. Like, is he really gonna go and presumably win this tournament to then just go get to Punk and face him at Mania? Yeah, maybe. But that world title scene on Raw is so stacked. Like, at least with a lot of moving pieces and cast of characters. I think you move Gunther over to SmackDown so Cody has a huge obstacle in Gunther. So those are my two picks for Cody Rhodes. Okay, let's swing in the other direction though and look at tag titles. Raw world titles, WWE SmackDown tag team titles, and the women's tag team titles. Kabuki Warriors, they just picked them up from Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair. I think Kabuki Warriors will hold these until they could drop them at like Saturday night's main event, but they are not adverse to switching titles on Raw like they did. So it could be a title change on an upcoming Raw. I think that what you could get is maybe at the Royal Rumble, you could do a triple threat or fatal four-way tag team title match. Io and Rhea as a team, Kabuki Warriors obviously, Bliss, Charlotte, Lash Legend, Nia Jax. Everyone that's basically kind of in the War Games match, right? Maybe you can do something like that. But the next people to grab it, I'm gonna go with Lash Legend and Nia Jax. I think that this is going to be the first time we kind of see them, together in War Games, especially Lash Legend. I want to see what they do with them after War Games, and I hope it's a lot. Lash Legend being kind of fresh to the main roster, let's do something cool. Her and Nia as a huge dominant tag team, shouldn't they get the tag titles? They don't need to pin Kabuki Warriors because you might be saying they're both heels, dummy. Maybe it's going to be a multi-woman match, and that way you can get the belts on them. I'm going to say Lash and Nia pick up those belts. SmackDown tag team titles. The Wyatts have them still. Who's going to pick these things up? I think it's kind of a flip of a coin of who you throw in all of that. I know you got the War Games match, you got MFTs, you've got Fraxium out there, Motor City Machine Guns. I am going to say that you get the MFTs with the tag titles. I think that once again, kind of like the women, maybe a multi-tag team match situation. And it looks like we're going to get the Wyatts involved in that elimination tag match going on SmackDown before War Games. I think that you do get a situation where maybe it's going to be MFTs, Sammy and like Ray Phoenix tagging together, and you got the Wyatts. Throw it on the MFTs. Solo, I don't think is winning this tournament. So what's Solo doing after that? Make his group, as they've had like kind of a refresh, I think they should get those tag titles. I'm going to go with MFTs. AJ Styles, Dragon Lee. This one's interesting to me because I don't know who they're feuding with. I don't know who they're going to go up against. And are they just going to keep rotating the same tag teams on Raw? Like, SmackDown needs to donate some tag teams, I think, over to Raw to get things a refresh. AJ and Dragon Lee, I almost said AJ Lee. AJ and Dragon Lee, I mean, they could go up against Judgment Day once again. We've done that. Viking, Raiders, Warriors, they're not around. I do think if you're going to, even a short run, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, and put the tag titles on them. I don't know who then they would drop them to, but I don't see Braun Breaker sniffing that world title as much as they talk about it. I think you kind of need to rehab that. And maybe a little dominant short run of Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker with those titles, and then like the Usos could pick them up after that because they're tagging a lot together. So I'll say probably on everybody's list, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, maybe get those tag titles. Chelsea Green, United States champion. She just beat Julia with the roll-up victory. It's kind of odd because I think the Julia thing really wasn't working for anybody. But I'm looking at the SmackDown roster for the women, and I just don't see a lot of top contenders in there that could challenge her that would maybe even grab the belt. Unless they want to do, like I said, Nia and Lash maybe with the tag belts. Unless they want to make Lash Legend a solo star. Tiffany is not going to roll down to the US title. Zelina Vega, I know she's paired with Aleister Black, but to have her in that new role and pivot with the US title could be something. It adds a little bit extra dimension for those two. Michin is still around in that division. I think for how the SmackDown roster, like they may need to move people over from Raw to SmackDown to make it interesting. So I don't know who Chelsea's going to keep feuding with. And when does she drop the belt? I hope Chelsea holds on to it for a while. Maybe she can go on a good, solid, long run. I'm going to say that the next person to grab it is Michin. I know that Michin is mixing it up right now with Jade, but I think that Chelsea can just go through some comedic stories, maybe still deal with Julia. They want to maybe turn Julia a little more face to try that again. I think that they could go in that path for a short term. Maybe Michin picks that thing up at like a Saturday night's main event. But that one I find very hard. What about you? Let's look at the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Stephanie Vaquer. She's going to fight Nikki Bella at Survivor Series. I've not cared about this program. I don't find Nikki Bella very compelling for me, honestly. Maybe she works for you, brother. But I found that it's just very much like, okay, when she not teased the heel turn, but said that like, oh, watch your back, Stephanie. I was like, okay, well, she's going to turn heel. And it's okay that there's kind of obvious turns. Not everything has to be a grand surprise. I just feel like there's not a lot of depth there. I think that also Stephanie is in an odd spot where since winning the belt, she hasn't had any programs, any challengers. Like she hasn't had a proper feud. It's just, let's put somebody up against her. You had Crown Jewel where they had to go champ versus champ. So she hasn't had a deep program. This is kind of her first one. I don't see her losing. I'm going to say that Stephanie holds on to this thing till Mania. I think Rhea Ripley beats Stephanie Vaquer for the world title or loses at Mania. But I'll just say Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea versus Stephanie is a WrestleMania match, and it's something they haven't done yet. They could explore that. So I'm going to say Rhea Ripley takes the belt off Stephanie. What about Jade? WWE SmackDown Women's Champion. I like Jade as a heel. I like she's dominant. She got these short matches. She just comes in, power bombs everybody, messes them up, and that's it. But you need somebody that's going to be able to defeat the powerhouse and get past her. I think it's going to be Bianca. I kind of like Stephanie Vaquer holding it to Mania. I do think that Jade needs to go on a strong title reign, hold this belt for a while. I don't see anybody that's like, she's right now, she fought B-Fab and squashed her. She's going to take on Michin. She's going to probably squash her. So you need Jade to get these smaller wins, these quick, easy ones to show how dominant she is before she gets into real contenders. She might get like a rematch with Tiffany at some point, and they want to do that. I think it's going to be Bianca Belair. I think maybe at the Royal Rumble or the Chamber, they get Bianca to return. She's going to go and face Jade at WrestleMania, and they kind of break off these two from going from friends to foes. Switching over to the brand new Women's Intercontinental Champion, Maxine Dupree. She has title now. Who does Maxine go up against in a feud? I hope she holds on to it for a bit. I don't want this to be like, okay, she just flips, loses the title, it's over, we move on. I am not sure who on Raw Maxine Dupree fights and ultimately defeats her for that belt. Sure, they could put it back on like Becky Lynch, and she could pick up the IC title very quickly to then further the feud with AJ Lee. I get the impression AJ Lee, based on just how, infrequent she's been on TV, that she's not somebody that's around weekly. To me, in my gut, it's Becky Lynch picks it back up to make the AJ Lee story more compelling. But I don't really want that. I want them to just have their own feud and let Maxine kind of ride this out and see what she can do as champion. So I'm going to go with a different name. Roxanne Perez. I think Roxanne should get that belt. You could do it at the Royal Rumble or an episode of Raw, and you could hot potato that title a little bit more. Maybe Maxine is then going to be able to have a bit of a feud with Judgment Day, which is something new. So what about Ilya Dragunov? Dragunov is going out and just doing open challenge, decimating guys every single week. He's putting on bangers. Looking up and down the Smackdown roster, I find it hard to pick any one guy that could really beat Ilya in a big story. I think it would be through the open challenge idea. The question mark is who. I'm gonna go outside the box here and make it a little bit of fun. I'm gonna say Obafemi. I want them to keep the belt on Ilya, and he gets exhausted from week after week of doing the open challenge, and then eventually he's so exhausted that he's just like, come on, I'll just do another open challenge. People are like, Sammy's like, no, you shouldn't, you gotta take a day off. And he's like, no. And that's how Ilya talks. I think then you do something like WrestleMania Open Challenge or Royal Rumble Open Challenge, and Obafemi debuts and wins the US title in a debut match. Kind of like Ilya when he returned to WWE, he won the title on his return on Smackdown. And Obafemi, it immediately establishes him. He could dominate, not squash necessarily, but dominate Ilya, and you have an instant heel. And your Intercontinental Champion, got 2 titles left, ladies and gentlemen. Intercontinental Champion John Cena. He's got 2 more dates left. He's going to fight Dom in San Diego at Survivor Series, and then the final match in December. I think that Dom is going to win. Now, I did see a comment pop up, and I love this idea. It was in a previous video. I think Dom wins. He wins back the IC title from John. So John's got all the accolades now. You flip it back to Dom Mysterio, everything is back to normal. It resets, and it's kind of like, we'll forget about it in 3 months. Dom could go maybe to Mania as IC champion. But how does he win? Yes, he could do all of the cheeky, sneaky wins that he's been doing week after week, but I think with Cena, he's going to do this the second time with him. He's got to do something different, and that difference, I think, is going to be Liv Morgan. I think Liv returns at Survivor Series and helps Dom win the IC title back. That can then spiral off the Judgment Day story, deal with Roxanne being in Judgment Day, Liv coming in again. It resets everything, and maybe we could eventually get a Finn Balor Dom Mysterio breakup match going on. I think Liv returns, Dom wins back IC title. And CM Punk, your World Heavyweight Champion, everybody. Punk wins at Saturday Night's Main Event against Jey Uso. What do you do now? Does Punk drop it at the Rumble? Does he drop it at the Chamber? Does he hold it to WrestleMania? And also, who are the possible contenders for that world title? Is it a Braun Breaker at WrestleMania? If it's Braun, they gotta heat him up a lot more. Like, I feel like he did the whole Seth turn, and then they pumped the brakes really hard on him. He's not sniffing that world title. I feel like we got to get going after War Games. Like, if they want to push Braun Breaker as the guy, he's got to do way more to get to WrestleMania. And it's a short amount of time. Do you have, and I cringe a little bit, but Brock Lesnar. You do Brock versus Punk again, and this time for the belt. And I just see Brock destroying Punk. That's what should happen on paper, but I don't think that's the match they would want to do. Jay, I don't think they need or want to do Jay versus Punk. Gunther, I said, would hopefully go for the Cody title, because I just don't feel like I need him going for that world title. I think it's very plausible. LA Knight, he's down right now. He way down. The main contenders I have overall, Braun Breaker beats CM Punk, or it's Gunther. Gunther gets that win back from Punk, and or Logan Paul. I do like the chemistry of Logan Paul and CM Punk. I think that they do well together on the promos. I don't really want to see Logan Paul as champion because he is not around every single week, but he does go in kind of spurts with this where he is on Raw weekly, like we've seen for War Games. Do you put the belt on Paul, Royal Rumble, and does something where he's world champion into WrestleMania, and then maybe CM Punk gets it back, or it's a multi-man match? I'm actually going to leave this one to you. Drop it in the comments below. Who do you think wins the world title? Because I don't feel right now with the landscape that there's a very clear person that they're gonna win the world title from CM Punk. Right now, I am kind of leaning, I don't really love it, but I am kind of leaning towards Logan Paul picking up that belt. If you guys want to talk more WWE topics, we got this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. See ya.